council members, just anything in the city. It doesn't look good, and we must be positive in what we're doing. So that's why I feel I'm the best candidate for this. Hopefully you guys agree with me. And again, thank you very much for coming. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Dennis. Our next candidate is Sterling Schat.
Good evening, everybody. It's an honor to be here. It's been an honor to live in this community for the last 55 years. I've worked for numerous outfits in our community, including the golf course. I've done collision repair for 10 years or so. I've worked in restaurants, Barbecue Bill's. I baked at the Looney Bean for a couple of years. I've done some civil construction with Construction Specialty and Kendall Weissenberg, Kendall Engineering, putting in water mains, sewer lines throughout the valley. I worked for Albright Vending, doing collections and whatnot, servicing collection vending machines from Death Valley all the way to Levining. And at a point in my life, I also worked for Dempsey Construction, doing floor coverings, some sheetrock and Snow Creek and Mammoth and whatnot, Modern Floors, which is no longer with us, doing floor coverings through Jim Bain, some stuff for Robin Stater and Sierra Design and Mammoth. Kind of all across the board, kind of a jack of all trades, so I have quite a bit of experience in a lot of different fields, which I consider to make a person, very well-rounded. As Dennis said, communication, is key. Working in the collision repair business, talking to customers, and making sure that their vehicles are done properly and back on the road safely. But at any rate, I've done quite a few things, and I just want to continue this journey, and I appreciate and would love to have your vote for the City Council so I can give back to the community that's been so good to me for the last 55 years. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, Sterling. It liked me. Our next candidate is Tyler Beadle.
All right. Hello, everyone. I am Tyler Beadle, a candidate for the Bishop City Council. I believe the role of the City Council is to work on policies and projects that better the people who live, work, play, and enjoy our beautiful city. And I plan to do just that. A little bit about me. I am a local who's lived here more than half my life. I've graduated from right next door from BUHS, and I even graduated locally from college at Saracoso Community College. I graduated with a degree in business, and now I am a title officer at the local title company here in Bishop. I plan to use my business degree and experience to help me make good economic decisions while on the City Council. I can use this same experience to bring new ways the city can help small business and bring more to the vacant buildings within our town. Also, I plan on using my title officer skills and real estate experience to help explore new ways to bring affordable housing solutions. And I will use my dedication and hard work to excel in bringing new projects and ideas to our city. I volunteer with multiple organizations. I am an ELK. I do notaries for the Chamber of Commerce, help the American Legion do flags, and I am always looking for new ways to help and better my community. Being born in the digital era, I will use my proficiency in technology to streamline processes, improve efficiency, and drive innovation within the City Council. Along with all this, I am committed to keeping myself informed and up to date. I don't act like I'm the best, nor do I claim to be. I believe I am a humble candidate, and I'm always willing to admit when I am wrong, and will do the best to know all the facts before making these critical decisions. I will take great honor in being a City Council member and will do the best in my power to produce a vibrant, loving community for all people who want to enjoy Bishop. You can find out more about me and my campaign on my website, beadleforbishop.com. Thank you.
Our next candidate is Erick Schat Jr. He goes by Bink.
Hello, everybody. I believe the role of the city council or city council member is to figure out what the people need, what they want, how to get it done. I think Bishop is very blessed to have a small community that is full of people that really care. My background is in business production. I understand how, when things aren't working, how to fix them. I understand that things need to be done soon, rather than later. Often I think about people's tax dollars and how they are to be used properly. I think one of the skills that I offer is I understand how to bridge ideas, bridge people, and create a common direction that will actually work in the real environment that is life. That's it.
Thank you so much. Our next candidate is Jose Garcia.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for being here today. My name is Jose Garcia, and I am the current City of Bishop Mayor, and I'm running for re-election to the Bishop City Council. The Bishop City Council plays a pivotal role in shaping and supporting our community through various functions and responsibilities. Some of these are representation, legislation, budget oversight, policy development, community engagement, services oversight, advocacy, and leadership. In essence, City Council serves as a bridge between local governance and the community, working to ensure local governance reflects and addresses the needs and aspirations of our residents. A little bit about me. I am a 35-year resident of Bishop and completed all my schooling in Mexico City and graduated as a doctor of dental surgery. Here in the US, I have been a medical interpreter and translator and a language access consultant for over 20 years. And I have more than 20 years of service as a volunteer and or board member for the Bishop Union High School, Inyo County Launchpad Program, IMACA, Inyo Council for the Arts, the Bishop Area Chamber of Commerce, Bishop Mule Days, Rotary Club of Bishop Sunrise, Friends of the Inyo, and more. For over the last 19 years, I have served as a board member, chairman of the board, and president of the California Healthcare Interpreting Association. And I am a graduated member of the Leadership Eastern Sierra class of 2018. Just before being elected, 4 years ago, I served on the City of Bishop Planning Commission for 7 years. You can say that I am passionate about serving our community, utilizing my skills and education. It has been an honor and a privilege serving as your City Council member for the past 4 years. I take the trust you place in me in the last 4 years very seriously, and I remain committed.
Please try again.
And remain committed to serving all community members. My commitment is with the people of the City of Bishop. Representing all residents is my first priority. We have serious challenges in our community. That is why I look forward to continue working on your behalf. I have done my best fulfilling the commitment that I made 4 years ago of providing leadership, service, and dedication in my role as council member, and I'll be honored to earn your vote again. I bring experience, commitment, and trust to your Bishop City Council for over the next 4 years. Thank you.
Our next candidate is Karen Kong.
Hello, I'm Karen Kong. Thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate you all being here. I have lived in Bishop for about 30 years, and over that time I have served in many capacities, none of which you really are interested in hearing about. In 2020, I decided to run for city council because I had spent my entire adult life really working for the betterment of people, and I decided, what is the city of Bishop if not people? So I ran with no agenda and no being beholden to no one, and just for the betterment of the city, and that's exactly the way I still feel. We all know that Bishop is the commercial and economic hub of the county. And what that means for a council member, at least what it means for me, is that it's my responsibility and my role to talk to everyone that I can about what they think and what they feel about the city of Bishop. Not just the people in the 2 square miles of Bishop, but the greater Bishop area, the reservation, and all of Inyo County. And by doing that, I can take in all of the different varying opinions and thoughts and feelings that people have and meld them together and find the best solutions for the city of Bishop. That all happens by looking at how is that going to impact the city in the short term? How is that going to impact the city in the long term? How is that going to impact our tourism trade that is so important to us? What kind of long-term negative and positive impacts are there? And of course, what are the financial implications? When you do all of that, then you can just come to a conclusion about the vote. And then the most interesting thing, I think, about city council is that once you make the vote, your job is not over. You then are required, by my standards at least, to go back out into the community and make sure people understand the decisions that were made, that they understand and they don't hear misinformation or rumors about what it is that happened, and that they come to some peace with the decision, knowing that you did your best to listen to everybody. I really feel like my job is not done yet. To be honest, I wasn't sure I was going to run again, and we have assembled such a spectacular team of employees that I'm just excited to continue to work with them. And for the first time in many, 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 many years, we, as we sit right now, are a proactive council. We are thinking ahead, and we are thinking about what the future looks like, not about just the immediate. Now, I feel like I'm not done. I feel like I thrive. Anyone who knows me knows I thrive on finding solutions to problems that no one else can. I really like to do my darndest to make sure that everyone is healthy and living the lives that they can live. So I hope that when you go to vote, you will check my name. Thank you very much.
All right, now we've had a chance to get to know our candidates a little bit. Now we're going to launch into the prepared questions. Again, these 2 questions the candidates have had ahead of time. Sterling, you will take this one first. And the subject of this question is housing. Please describe your understanding of current city efforts to expand available housing in our area. What specifically would you want the city to do in addition to or to bolster these efforts? And how would you pay for these new or extended local housing initiatives? Sterling.
Thank you, Kristina. Yeah, that's a big topic here. The housing is a huge issue. What we need to do is start breaking ground. We need to get some grants to get it rolling. And, I know we have a kind of a dilemma with the DWP and all the land that they take, or have, I should say. Take is not a good term, but, we could use some of our own, the city land and, work with the county. But, we have to get the ball rolling and get it going. We've been talking and talking and talking, but with the way the economy is and the price of everything, I mean, it's tough. My rent went up. It's going to go up $40 this next month. So, and it's hard on everybody, but we just got to grab the bull by the horns and get it done. And maybe have some more town hall meetings to get the community a little bit more involved, and get some more opinions from people that are really struggling and would like to live that American dream and to be able to afford to do it. But biggest thing is we got to grab the bull by the horns and get going on it. Talk and talk and talk, but it has to be done.
Tyler.
All right, so I love this question because housing is something that is important to me and my campaign. I have friends and people who I've graduated with who want to come back to the area but cannot because it is unaffordable and there's really nowhere to stay. My current understanding on the city's current housing projects is that there are none in the works right now. We did have the Silver Peaks idea, which I believe the city just worked as like a middleman in getting the land from LA and then transferred it to the Silver Peaks partnership, which then I did some more research on that, and it turns out that IMACA was actually in 2022 dissolved from that partnership, and then Mammoth Lakes Housing came in place of them. Considering we don't even have an entity from Bishop involved in that partnership anymore, I don't think that project is going anywhere anytime soon. What I would have done differently as a council member, I would have added CCNRs or some type of deed restrictions in that transaction. An example of that could have been this parcel must be used for affordable housing for the next 25 years. That would have made it safe for us, so then this Silver Peaks Housing doesn't go off to sell that parcel, because there really isn't anything stopping them from doing that. I believe that the city can also use existing buildings and structures within our town. I believe it is the duty of the city council to bring unity between the city and the property owners within it. We can adjust zoning regulations to help property and business owners make better use of the land that they own. I like the idea, the storefront shops with the one or two housing units on top.
Thank you so much, Tyler. All right, next up, Bink.
There's theory, and then there's practice. I know many people that have been practicing trying to get housing going. And I have seen what it's like to be on this other side of the county and the city's ire. And I think really it comes down to attitude. I think it comes down to actually wanting to get it done. I think having an actual policy on paper that would actually push things forward, finding people to actually get it done, people that actually know what they're doing. I think that a general vision is something that is needed to help bolster income for everybody. Housing is a byproduct of a suffering local economy. I think that will be addressed. I often think about what we have versus what Mammoth has, what attracts people to Mammoth versus Bishop. Obviously Mammoth has the mountain. People love going there. Bishop has, it's amazing. This place is paradise. But most of the people just go on up to Mammoth. And I often think, well, what does Las Vegas have that we don't have? Las Vegas had nothing but gambling. That's what they created, gambling out of nothing. And now they build houses faster than anything I've ever seen. I remember the airport used to be way out there. Now it's like in the middle of the town. And I think it has to do with coming with a vision and actually creating a team of people that would help facilitate the people that actually want to develop, that are willing to take the risk. And that is something that I've been on both sides, and I've seen what it takes. I've seen examples of I know developers in Mammoth. They tell me that they can't. They got more work than they can handle, and there's nothing going on here. And I think that comes down to policy. That comes down to
Thank you, Bink.
vision.
Thank you, Bink. All right, Jose Garcia.
Thank you. Bishop has a unique set of challenges that are linked to its history, which are lack of land to grow, limited water resources, and lack of affordable housing for sure. And the potential solutions are just as complex and challenging. I support all efforts to expand our housing inventory. If you want to know more about Bishop's housing needs, I invite you to go and read the 110-page City of Bishop General Plan Housing. You will learn everything about housing that needs to know. In that, you will find that 99.6% of the land available for new development within the City of Bishop, yes, is owned by LADWP. You will find that the City of Bishop is required, and not as a government, but we need 118 units through 2019. So in the next 5 years, if we want to meet our housing needs, someone needs to build 118 units. Already? Thank you. Then I'm going to hurry up. The City of Bishop really doesn't have the staff to seek or manage grant funding for any affordable housing project. However, we have approved the mixed-use overlay within the downtown Bishop to allow for the development of residential above commercial units. Some examples of that are already taking place. Private development, we have a 15-unit development at the nursery. On 711 Hammond Street, we will have about 35 units. On East Line Street, 8 more units being built, and 4 on Main Street. With no land to grow and the high cost of construction, strict regulations and strings attached to the funding resources and affordable housing, the problem is more challenging than you can imagine. It is something the City of Bishop doesn't have the capacity to embark in the near future. It will require a team of 2 to 5 people working 2 to 3 years just on getting funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. Karen.
All right, so everyone knows we need housing. There are jobs being left vacant. There are people who can't move to town because they can't find a place or they can't afford to stay here for long. And then the one that really gets me is there are couples who have to go back to sharing a house with a roommate because they can't afford to live here on their own. DWP is an easy group to blame. That's what we've been doing in the City of Bishop and the County of Inyo for years and years and years, which is why about 3 years ago, I started to say over and over and over again, let's start looking at the City of Bishop properties that we own ourselves. We have properties, we have parking lots, we have buildings. Let's look at them and see what we can sell, how we can consolidate services, and how we can consolidate departments so that we can have places to sell to developers. That report is in the works and should be done hopefully in early 2025. Now, the second piece of this that's super important is the developers that are out there. Do they know about Bishop? Do they know that we're viable? Do they know that they could make a living? And do they know that they could, their things could pencil out for them? Because no one's going to come and build low-income housing if they're going to lose money. My opinion is, doesn't just need low-income housing. We need workforce housing, we need middle income housing, we need starter homes, and the more we build of all different types, the more that people can leapfrog up to where they should be and other people can fill in behind them. Now, in my last 30 seconds, I will tell you that one of the other issues in the City of Bishop we are working on is the idea that we have empty buildings and empty lots that the owners will not sell. There was a man, cash in hand, here a few years ago, and he went all around and the people would not sell their buildings that have been empty for 10 years plus. One councilman and the city attorney and I are looking at ways we can urge them, entice them to sell their buildings so that we can use those and tell the developers that they are ready to sell. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen. Okay. Dennis.
You're not going to hear anything new from me. The 5 people who are to my right pretty much said everything that I was going to say. Just to kind of reiterate it, it isn't just DWP's responsibility to give us the land to help us grow housing. It's our responsibility to figure out how we can be creative, just like everybody else had already said. You know, I looked up online and there's already been a bill passed in 2022 that allows residential development on land zoned for retail, parking, or office use without rezoning. It's already done. All we have to do is give some sort of benefits to the property owners on Main Street that would allow them to build, to make more income so they can support their businesses. It would also, by getting the people downtown, just using Main Street as an example, by getting people living on Main Street, it would also reinvigorate Main Street. People would come to put businesses there because there are more people downtown. It all just kind of goes hand in hand, in my opinion. But I know the city of Bishop is having conversations with DWP about transferring leases. That is going to be a slow process, and we all know that, unfortunately. So, unfortunately, I don't have anything new than what these guys said. I agree with everybody. Had very good points.
Thank you, Dennis. Thank you, everyone. All right, we're going to move on to our second prepared question. Tyler, you'll be taking this one first. And this one is regarding infrastructure. Important parts of the city's basic infrastructure for drinking water and sewer, for example, are aging and near the end of their functional lifespans. As a city council member, how would you recommend the city update its critically aging infrastructure, and how specifically would you have the city pay for these necessary and costly updates, upgrades, and renovations? Tyler.
All right. So, infrastructure is one of the most important duties of the city council. Sewer and water was one of the reasons the original settlers decided to incorporate into the city of Bishop in 1903. I would recommend we update this critically aging infrastructure by applying for state grants. There are multiple state grants for sewer and water systems. Us being the only city within California's second largest county, I believe that we should have some sort of a leverage in applying for those types of grants. Also, there are federal grants that we as the city can apply for. EPA actually offers emergency grants for rural cities specifically, where they will loan you money to then get drinkable water. The city can also apply for loans. There are numerous banks that offer municipal areas financing. If all else fails, we can propose bonds such as the ones that will be paid using property tax increases. These measures would obviously need to be voted on by the people who live within the city limits, but I believe a measure such as that would easily be able to pass, considering we are upgrading our aging sewer and water systems. As we all know, these things will take time, lots of discussion, and a majority vote between the whole council. I believe that I would be a perfect fit for the city council to make these infrastructure upgrades a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. Bink.
So I find the first thing is you look at the cost and you figure out what it's going to take. The grants, Tyler hit on most of those things already. Again, I'd say the long-term solution to a lot of this is figuring out a vision to attract people to actually want to invest here. I mean, look at, maybe this is not the perfect example, but again, Mammoth, they've grown like crazy. I don't hear about their aging infrastructure. I hear them dropping in new infrastructure constantly. I think we would go to them first and talk to them and see how they did it. See what their magic sauce is to, you know, that, I remember Mammoth was nothing when I was a kid, and they dropped it in the village and all these other things. That's all new infrastructure. They get it, they got it done. So the question is bring in the right people to figure out how someone else did it, and sure, go get grant money, go get loans, all that stuff, but go talk to people that actually did it. That's it.
Thank you, Bink. Was everybody able to hear him okay? No. Okay. No. Yeah, if we could be sure to use the mic, guys, so that they can hear you. Jose.
Well, you have a microphone, use them, please.
Can we reset the time? You haven't started. Thank you. Water and sewer. I don't think there are many places in the world where you can drink tap water. Bishop is one of those. And sometimes I think we take that for granted. I have to praise the city staff for keeping up to running our water and sewer infrastructure. If they get a notification in the middle of the night that a pump is not running, they go and fix it. And not too many people know that. And they are not recognized every day as they should. As far as water, let me give you an example. Yes, we need to replace them. I don't know if it's mine. The main water line on West Line Street from Main Street to the middle school needs to be replaced. And it's going to cost the city more than $2 million to do it. We are taking a loan, a 40-year loan, to pay for that because there are no grants and the city doesn't have the funding for that. We need a new sewer plant. Yes, we are in the study phases that is going to take $5 million or more to design the plant. And it's going to take tens of millions of dollars to build that plant. So how do we fix things like that? We need to collaborate with our neighbors, with the tribe, with the county, with the state, with the federal government, getting those grants and the funding needed to get that accomplished. We cannot do it by ourselves. The City of Bishop cannot do it alone. And we're working, for example, with the Eastern Sierra Community Services District on building a new sewer plant. We've created BAWA with that purpose, and that's the Bishop Area Wastewater Authority. One of the 9 purposes of this Joint Powers Authority is to build a new sewer plant. So I'll invite you to come to the City of Bishop, say thank you to all of our public works employees to keeping our infrastructure running every day and be able to drink tap water. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. Karen?
Can you hear me, Charles?
Never had a problem hearing you.
I didn't think so, just thought I'd check. All right, so I'm super glad we get to talk about infrastructure because most of us recognize that if the water comes out of the tap and we can flush the toilet when we need to, that's all we really care about. And the things that we don't realize about the city is that the pipes underground were put in there in the early 1900s. And the sewer plant that we're outgrowing, I'm going to say, was built in 1976. The fact that our public works, Jose is exactly right, the fact that our public works department has managed to keep these things running so smoothly and so seamlessly is beyond my comprehension. We need to get these things replaced. They only have as much life as they can have, and frankly, we kind of have already pushed past that point. Interestingly enough, the Eastern Sierra Community Services District built an identical plant to ours, right next door to ours, in 1976. And guess what? They need a new plant too. So we did create BAWA, the Bishop Area Wastewater Authority, and we are looking to see how we can collaborate to build one big wastewater treatment plant so that we won't have this problem and we will be able to have everything taken care of for years to come. Now, the one thing that we do need to recognize is that the USDA Rural Development, they have grants and loans for both technical assistance and infrastructure developments under their water and environmental planning section. We as a city are trying to get ready and prepared for that whenever the BAWA is ready. Just last week, we passed a contract with an engineering firm to write a PER, which is preliminary engineering report that is required for any applications that we apply for or any grants we apply for. So we as a city are proactively taking steps to be ready when the money is there and the planning is done so that we can act right when it's ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Dennis?
Okay, infrastructure, I mean, the city does have plans, like Jose and Karen both said, there are already plans in the works to upgrade some of the sewer pipes, and they're talking about the sewer treatment plant that's going to take a while to figure out. Paying for that, hopefully we can get grants. Unfortunately, I think your water rates and the sewer rates may have to go up a little bit to help pay for that. That's just unfortunate, but it's going to happen. The infrastructures everybody keeps talking about, we just keep talking about water and sewer, but we all want to make sure that when you dial 911, the fire department, the EMS, the police department, they respond to you. Those are very important infrastructure pieces too. But with all infrastructure, you need to look at multiple levels of planning. You need to have your nows. What has to be done today? What can we wait 3 years and do? What can we do in 5 years? And then what's our wish list that we can throw 10 years? Is there new police equipment that we need? Do we need a new fire truck? How can we pay for those things? None of those things can happen just by flipping a light switch. I wish it was possible, but you can't. And again, like Karen and Jose said, and I'll give a lot of praise to the department heads too. The department heads that the current city council has put in their seats, if you haven't met them and dealt with them, they're amazing people. They have good forecasts. They know exactly what they think needs to happen over the next 3 and 5 years. And the role of the city council is to prioritize that, figure out how to get the money, how to pay for it, and put them in a position to succeed. So when you turn your water on, when you turn your tap on, water is flowing freely and it's drinkable. You know, when you call 911, whatever service you need is there and they're going to respond efficiently. And it does take a lot of work by the city council and the unique contact between the county, the tribe, and everybody that lives within that little 15-mile radius of Bishop. So that's my take on infrastructure.
Thank you, Dennis. Sterling.
Thank you. Yeah, it all boils down to money. You know, I had the opportunity to put in some water mains. One, for instance, behind the hospital, did some civil construction, dirt work underneath the Forest Service building out by the DWP. And you're not just talking about just pipe, digging a ditch and putting pipe in. You're talking, you know, redoing the asphalt, digging up sidewalks, manholes. So it's an enormous amount of work, you know, and you don't just dig the ditch and lay the pipe in and bury it up and, you know, patch the road. I mean, you can, but that's not a long-term fix, and that's not a proper way to do it, you know, to take this town another 100 years. But yeah, it's all going to boil down to money, and we have the people in this valley to get the jobs done, you know, construction specialty, Kendall Engineering. We have a great crew in the city. I saw a thing on the news where they have this piece of equipment down in LA where it tears up the asphalt and you add your petroleums in it and it lays it back down, as opposed to grinding it up, putting it in an end dump or whatever and taking it to a plant, putting your materials in it and hauling it back. So it's kind of a one-step process, which would save quite a bit of time. And, you know, you just have to put the proper crew together to use equipment like that. Unfortunately, the reason it was on the news, and it found its way into a lot, and it had a homeless person sitting underneath it, and the taxpayers were not happy. So it all boils down to money. We have the people here and the crew that can get the stuff done. We just have to get the money together, you know, to go out after the federal government. It's got to throw in their 2 cents. Help us take care of our community. So, thank you.
Thank you, Sterling. So don't go anywhere. That concludes the first half of our forum this evening, and now is a chance for you to ask these candidates the questions that are burning for you and that you want to know an answer to. So if you would come over and see Fran, grab a slip of paper. We also have some cookies and refreshments in the back, and we'll see you guys in about 10 to 15 minutes. Thank you. If you could return to your seats, please, we're going to go ahead and get the second half of this forum started.
Subscriptions to 5 major newspapers, both liberal and conservative.
Thank you.
I go to conservative websites like City Review, places like that, just to see what they got to say. I go to Huffington Post for entertainment.
All right.
What I try to do, I prefer to
Let's go. Yeah. So, as always, okay. All right, did everybody get some good cookies? Yeah. You know, in the 6 years that I've been moderating these candidates forums, I'm always impressed with the questions that come out. You guys asked some incredible questions this time, and it's always, we get more questions than we can ever ask. So we've done our absolute best to try to consolidate some of these questions so that we can cover as many topics as we possibly can and give our candidates the opportunity to speak on as much as we possibly can. So with that, we're going to go ahead and dive right in. We're going to give you 90 seconds to answer the questions, but the quicker your answers are, the more questions we can get through. So we're going to go ahead and start off with Bink. Would you consider increasing taxes on inactive commercial properties to offset the tax benefits of keeping them empty?
Increasing taxes has never been a long-term solution, in my opinion. I mean, look at Social Security first.
Yeah, can you use the mic, Bink? We can't hear you. There you go.
I don't believe taxation is the key to really anything. I mean, look at Social Security. Everyone knows that's a failing program. I think looking to the private sector, I've always found that, I have this idea in my head, and I'm like, oh, it's so impossible, it's not gonna happen. And then I go talk to the person, and then they're totally game to do it. It's just like find that middle ground to make it work. It's like I found that most people are good people. They just have some insecurities or things to get over. And I've talked to some of the people. Like I've talked to the Israeli group that owns the Kmart building. And I've talked to the lawyer that's in Beverly Hills, and they're happy to make a deal. They're happy to work with me to figure out a solution. Like, unfortunately, I don't have that kind of money to do that, but I did sense that they were willing to work with me, and they explained the complexities behind that project. But if there's willingness, there's a way to make it happen, and I think sometimes having the right person in front of the right person can make an enormous difference. I don't think raising taxes is the right approach. I think it's increasing revenue. Revenue fixes most problems. I don't know. I've always found that working a little more or being more creative fixes a lot more.
Thank you, Bink. Jose.
Same question?
Same question.
Who wants to pay more taxes? Raise your hand. There is the answer. There are different ways that you can try fees. We have a registration fee program where every owner of an empty building must register your building so we can conduct inspections, make sure the building is safe. Is that enough? Probably not. Thank you. We can try other ideas, but nobody wants to pay more taxes. And as Karen mentioned earlier, we have several building owners that would rather keep their building empty than sell it. And the rents are very high. The business or building owner, they are out of touch with reality. Many entrepreneurs cannot afford to rent those buildings at that price, especially for our area. It's similar to our housing issue. where our rents are ridiculous, way too high, where working people cannot afford to rent a unit, 1 or 2 people with 1 job each, making minimum wages. So it's very, very challenging. Thank you.
Thank you, Jose. Karen?
All right, well, so technically the city can't raise taxes without going to the voters. So in 2020, during the pandemic, we went to the voters to raise the sales tax, and the voters said yes, and so the sales tax got raised. Jose is correct that we did just implement a vacant building ordinance to register the vacant building owners, so we know who they are and their contact information. So if we have developers come in, we can hand that information off to them. In addition, we had looked at a vacant building fee. Here's the issue. Oakland put it in place and immediately got sued. And so we decided as a council that the coffers of the city of Bishop did not need to take on the possible lawsuits. Let Oakland and the courts figure all that out, and then we will see what will be legal and what won't be legal. So I just think it's not something that's possible for us to do right now.
Thank you, Karen. Dennis?
I made a couple notes, I'm sorry, while they were speaking. Personally, I don't think a blanket solution is the right solution. You know, if I own a business on Main Street and I decide that I want to sell it, and I go to sell it, and then the land is owned by DWP and I have a lease, and now I can't transfer that lease because DWP won't allow me to do it, why am I going to be penalized because I can't do anything and I don't want to be in business anymore, so I'm going to close my business and it's going to sit empty? I don't think that would be fair. Unfortunately, in the world of business, I'm not for the taxes, by the way, I should have started with that. In the world of business, the deep pocket corporations that have some of these vacant buildings, they don't care. They're just going to keep paying it and paying it and paying it. And it's like I'll use the sports analogy because I love sports. It's like the luxury tax in baseball. They have a salary cap, but the Yankees don't care. They write a $12 million check every year because they overspend. It doesn't matter. You know, the company that owns the big buildings in town, they don't care. They're just going to raise your prices and they're going to keep paying it. So I really don't think it'd be a solution that would solve anything.
Thank you, Dennis. Sterling?
Yeah, I'm not for raising any taxes at all, but unfortunately, it seems to be it's just a reality of life. You know, everything is going up. I wish my rent wasn't going up next month. You know, but everything seems to go up, and you know, as far as a lot of the empty buildings go, I mean, what are you doing? Like Dennis said, you know, if it's sitting on a piece of DWP land, I mean, it boils down to the economic prosperity of our community, and if they want to hold us hostage, I mean, there has to be a way to where we can go up to someone higher on the ladder that's going to help us out. You know, we don't want our town to die and be choked off and be held back from all of us living up to our full potential. So, yeah, I'm not for raising any taxes.
Thank you. Tyler?
All right. Going last is kind of harder because everything's already said. So, no, I would not support any taxes such as that, just because of what everyone has already said. Obviously, bigger cities have already thought about that, and they are currently being sued. So I think the best course would wait that out, see how that turns out in the courts, and if it is successful, then that could be another topic for a different day. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. All right, our next question. Multiple people asked this question. Jose, you're going to take it first. Will you vote to return invocation to city council meetings?
Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you why. I believe in the values of the foundation of this country. We were not the only city, state, or federal agency with invocation at the beginning of the meeting. To clarify someone's mind, I voted no, meaning I wanted to keep invocation. Those voting yes voted to remove it. I was the last one on voting because of the roll call order, not because of my vote. I will be open to bringing that item back on the agenda and have an open discussion about it. I believe that a moment of silence can be an option, not the only option. If it's my turn to do invocation and I want a moment of silence, I should have the right to do that. But if my turn to do invocation is to pray, I should have the right to do that. So that's my answer.
Thank you, Jose. Karen?
So my answer to that is no. We did some really hard work around the prayer issue. We took in a lot of input from a lot of different people, people who came to the meetings, people who came by my house, people who emailed, and the numbers in the city limits were overwhelmingly against having prayer at city council. They wanted that separation between church and state, and I know that I worked really hard to get the two groups together, the group that wanted to keep prayer and the group that wanted prayer to go away, to come up with the solution. And we met and we talked and we tried to figure it out, a way that would make everyone happy, and sadly we failed. And I think that it goes back to my opening statement, which is you can't always make everyone happy with your decisions, but you have to go with what your gut says and what the constituents are interested in. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Dennis?
Religion is it's a very hot button, you know, and in attending, I wasn't at any of the council meetings when this was being voted. I've been attending the meetings for the last 4 months just to learn and understand where the council is headed, and just because things do take a while to go through. There's a moment of silence where you can pray, you can reflect, you can do what you want to do. At the beginning of the public session, people have come up and they've given a prayer to the people. Personally, I would probably vote no, that I wouldn't bring it back.
Thank you, Dennis. Sterling?
Absolutely yes on that. I can remember growing up here, going to school here, saying the Pledge of Allegiance, the first period, and I think times were a lot better then. And I'm a true believer in something greater than myself and greater than all of us. So the great thing about that is you can choose to believe what you want, you know, and something. But absolutely, I absolutely believe in something greater than myself, and I would vote yes on that for sure.
Thank you. Tyler?
All right, so short answer is yes. This is because I don't see anything wrong with prayer or praying over someone. If the opportunity comes back to vote on that, I would say yes. The only way I would vote no is if someone could explain to me how prayer is harmful to them, I guess. So that is my answer.
Thank you, Tyler. Bink?
I believe it's smart to separate church and state. I think that preserves the individual to pursue the religion that they believe is best. I don't believe on pushing my beliefs on other people. That usually makes people lock up. I think that having a time to allow people to reflect is important. I think that does a lot of good for a lot of people. If you want to pray to whatever you deem as God, then so be it. You know, maybe a moment of silence would go a lot further than mandatoring a certain direction. I personally hate government mandates. I think they're not useful.
Thank you, Bink. All right, moving on to our next question. Karen, you will take this first. How will you address the growing problem of homeless population at the Bishop City Park, especially close to the playground equipment?
You know, here's the thing. I think that we have felt as a community and as a county that we were immune from issues that the city faced, and now that we're not, it's really frightening for some people. In the past few years, there's not been much that a city or a county can do about the homeless, as far as shooing them away from an area or restricting them or in any way, because it wasn't allowed in the state of California. Just recently, the governor signed a bill that will allow law enforcement to do a little bit more, and in fact, our chief of police has been working on something, and he's going to bring it forward to the city council on our next meeting, which is on the 28th of October. I have not read what it says yet, so I don't really have an opinion on that, but I think, you know, I'm all about people, and so the reality of the situation for me is they're people, and they're in an unfortunate situation, maybe by their own making, maybe not, and we need to be the bigger person, the bigger community, and do our best to help them. I would be for seeing if there was a place they could be. Last year at the Bishop schools, there were 73 homeless children. That's not okay. We need to figure out what to do about that and find a place so that they're safe.
Thank you, Karen. Dennis.
The homeless issue, I think you have to show empathy. They're people, you know, some of them choose this lifestyle. It's not something that they fell into. They just choose to wander the streets and be homeless. Some people are forced into it. If you're in a situation to help somebody that was forced into it, you know, maybe get them a hot meal, treat them like a human. I mean, really, that's the biggest piece to it. If they're near the parks and if the police can if the police can police them, that makes a whole lot of sense, right? But if they can police them, can they move them to a more common area? But where do they move them to? You know, so they're not at the playground. Do they move them to a church? Do they move them to the park in a different place? Do they move them down Line Street by the pastures? Wherever they move them to, somebody will be offended. I think the first goal is to try and correct just the understanding of what these people are going through and try to help them. That's the first piece. And then the people that choose to do it, just try to help them, be humane to them. And I think we've lost a lot of that, just kind of as humans. We just treat everybody poorly when we don't have to do it. That's not really a great answer, but that's what I got.
Thank you, Dennis. Sterling.
That's a tough subject. It's all across our nation, you know. Yeah, you got to show some compassion. But at the same time, you know, some of these people, you have to reach out to them and say, hey, you know, would you like some help? Is there any way we can help you? But some folks just choose that sort of life, you know, and they're used to it. It's easier for them, I guess, or they like to keep it simple, or you know, they're just not getting the help that they need from you know, a mental aspect or whatever. But yeah, that's a very touchy subject, but it also boils down to safety too in your community. You know, whether they're building fires out or hanging around your kids or whatever, and that's not a good thing for kids to see. You know, we don't want our kids, you know, visualizing that. You know, it's a tough thing, you know, because it's so widespread, not just here and Southern California. It's everywhere, you know. But you have to be compassionate, you know, and I always try to Try to thank you, try to treat people the way you'd like to be treated. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Sterling. Tyler?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Absolutely. How will you address the growing problem of the homeless population in the Bishop City Park, especially close to the playground equipment?
All right, yes, so I believe that this is definitely a big issue that we are seeing get worse within the last couple years. Some of these people come in on a ESTA and then they decide to stay. Some of them are locals who just lost their housing. I mean, I believe this city should definitely do more in where exactly are they gonna go. That is a discussion. There is churches around. There's multiple things. I believe that we can create some sort of partnership with the church, get a place for these people to stay at least for the day, and then we could also offer transit fare back where they come from, because we recently at the title company had someone come in threatening us, and I decided to Google the guy's name. It turns out he was a registered sex offender from Reno. So how do you come here? ESTA. I mean, there is definitely a lot of discussion that needs to take place. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. Bink?
So for many years, I lived in the Bay Area. I've been all over the Bay Area in the very, very wealthy areas, and then I've been in the not so very wealthy areas. And it's a multifaceted problem. I mean, at the same time, they have rights like the rest of us. They're human beings, they're citizens, and we have to respect that. At the same time, breaking the law and being homeless are not the same thing. If you, for example, are being lewd or you're doing things that are against the law, they should be punished like the rest of us. You know, like if I don't pay my registration on my car, CHP is going to pick it up. You know, that's just how it works. I think they need to be made aware of that. I think that it's not only the government, but the individual's approach. I don't think it's okay to have people loitering in a park that are misbehaving. Parks are built for children and families, or I guess it is for the general citizen as well, but primary use is for children. And I believe that they need to be put on alert that they are being watched and that these behaviors are not tolerable. I've seen terrible things in the Bay Area, and I don't want that being here. And it takes vigilance, and it takes a strong stance of saying this is completely unacceptable, and like driving your car and register on the road, there's a consequence.
Thank you, Bink. Jose?
Ditto to everything that's been said on both sides. On top of all of that, what would I do as a council member? Like with many of our issues, we need to work together with our local government and private sector and the non-for-profit. How do we do that? By addressing the issues, by collaborating, by looking out for funding. And let me tell you about at least one project that I'm aware of. Some of you may not know. The County of Inyo, Mono County, and Alpine County, they have been working on a project of a housing project for homeless people or at risk of homelessness in Memat, a 15-unit building that is being remodeled for that purpose. They already have 5 people in this building, homeless people, 2 from Inyo County, 2 from Mono County, 1 from Alpine County. They're working on remodeling 10 more units. And soon they will have more homeless. Do we have homeless people in the city of Bishop? Yes, we do. Are we going to do something about it? Yes, for all of the reasons stated before. But we need to work together with Inyo County, with Mono County, with the town of Memat Lakes, because it's not just the City of Bishop problem. It's all of our problems. We all together need to help the homeless. For all of the reasons said, it's the humane thing to do, it's the Christian thing to do, whatever excuse you want to make is the right thing to do, and we need to do it, and we need to do it together.
Thank you, Jose. All right, our next question, Dennis, you'll take this one first. How do you plan to work with current and future local businesses to improve our local economy and encourage the revitalization of downtown?
As a local business owner, it's a challenging task to get in here. I don't know if the council can offer tax breaks. Can we possibly pick up the business permits for a year, give them a low interest loan to help them open their businesses? I know there's the business center, that's the small business center on Main Street that's opening, to help the small businesses, be a mentor for them. If somebody's coming in looking to open a small business, have them come in, they can talk to me. We can make some sort of a committee of other small business owners that can go down and meet them and talk to them and try to be that good partner and a good representative of what business can be. I mean, I'd like to consider us successful. We're successful because of the business we're in and the people come shop with us. We've done a lot of things that we can share with new business owners. I know the Schats, with all the businesses they own, I'm sure they would love to sit on something like that. But we just need to be open when they are here shopping Bishop to make sure we're selling them what we can and to see what the city council can do to help pick up some of the startup costs, even if we defer them for 2 or 3 years. There's got to be something.
Thank you, Dennis. Sterling.
I think that boils down to communication. You just need to get out there and beat the pavement and go door to door and find out, what they need. I watched the last council meeting, and I believe they put up a bunch of money, got some grant money to help some of the storefronts paint their buildings, and spruce it up a little bit, doll it up. We don't want our community to look too dingy. We gotta keep it spruced up. But I think the key thing is getting out there, beating the pavement, door to door, and finding out what the small business owner really needs, and then probably take it from there. I think Dennis had a great point, making a committee and see how we can help each other. So, thank you.
Thank you, Sterling. Tyler.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Absolutely. How do you plan to work with current and future local businesses to improve our local economy and encourage the revitalization of downtown?
Yes, so I definitely, the city does currently have in place some resources such as the small business center that Dennis mentioned. I also believe that we should help new small businesses who come to our area by as Dennis said, potentially waiving fees, development fees, startup fees, and stuff like that. And then another idea I like, I'm not too sure if there already is one, but I know that the Chamber of Commerce kind of has a similar thing, but a preferred shopping list of a city preferred business list along town. I definitely believe that could help the small businesses within our city. And yeah.
Thank you, Tyler. Bink?
As a business owner, one of the things that I spend a lot of my time is going over code and policy and what the government wants me to do and et cetera. And a lot of people, they have aspirations. They want to start a business of their own and they want to go down that direction. And one of the things I would implore would be a fast track program, an assistance program to help these people get on their feet, because it doesn't take a lot to just lose everything. A project delay is immensely expensive, and you can't just go raise taxes when your costs go through the roof because you can't finish your project. It's like you sink or you swim. And I saw that with the brewery. They ran out of money and there's no brewery now across the street from the theater. They just sunk. And I'm assuming they made mistakes. One of them was not having enough money. Most businesses fall because they don't have enough money. And having a group of people and offering assistance to walk them through these codes, and instead of having a gotcha approach, instead of like, hey, we're going to help you get you through this, we have this program that will walk you through, so you don't get 9/10 through the program or your project shut down or get stopped, and then you're losing everything because you're still have to pay rent. A lot of people, when they start a project, they still have to pay rent, and then they disappear. And I don't think that's fair. I think that as a government being an authority, they should make sure that these people can make it through.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bink. Jose?
We need to approach this problem as the infrastructure and housing and the homeless. We need to collaborate with businesses, with potential businesses coming in, and with the Bishop Area Chamber of Commerce. They represent businesses. They are in constant contact with local homeowners. One of the ideas is through creating a business improvement district where we all collaborate, government and businesses, in funding for future business improvement within our downtown Bishop. So every single business benefits from a program like this. A business owner by itself cannot do it alone. The city by itself cannot do it alone. We need to work together. We need to collaborate. That would allow us not only to create our own funding, but go out and seek additional funding, whether it's a non-for-profit funding, entrepreneurs, state or federal funding. But we need to work together. It's no time to tackle any issue alone or to blame people or to blame the government for any of these issues. We need to work together.
Thank you, Jose. Karen?
So I think there's two really big issues here. The first one being, why are they leaving? So the great example that I have is the Verizon store. What was their reason for choosing to leave downtown Bishop and go to the Rite Aid Plaza? I'm working on the assumption that that has to do with what the rent is, but until we find those things out, there's another business right next to Alta One that's going out and having a big blowout sale this weekend. So what is causing them to flee the city? Some people will say it's parking. Some people will say it's rent. Some people will say that they paid too much to renovate. What are the reasons? So that has to happen first. And then the other piece somebody mentioned earlier is the DWP piece. There are 16 properties in downtown Bishop that are on a DWP lease. Sadly, if the trend continues, those people are not going to be able to transfer their lease to another business. And so what we're working on is just like someone said, moving up the food chain. We talked to the local DWP guy, and this is not his issue. He wishes we could transfer the leases, and so we've moved up, and we're going to move up one more step. The real problem would be in the city of LA's attorney's office. They're the ones that are stopping the lease transfers, and as much as I worry about the buildings that are vacant, seems to me that a pressing issue needs to be what will happen if 16 more businesses become vacant.
Thank you, Karen. All right, next question. Sterling, you'll take this one first. Parks and Recreation offers critical programs for families and the community. What programs would you prioritize to help families be healthy and thrive?
This one I've been thinking about. What I'd like to do down at the city park is I'd like to put in a deep pit barbecue to kind of help, unite the community. We could have community picnics, and bring everybody together and have a great time. And that would be like a giant forum where you could discuss things in the community. So, and I think the Cleveland and the rest of the crew at the park are doing a fantastic job. The turf always looks great. But I think a nice deep pit barbecue back there where we could have bring everybody together and community picnics. So That's my take on that.
Thank you, Sterling. Tyler?
I'm sorry, could you repeat it?
Yeah. Parks and Recreation offers critical programs for families and the community. What programs would you prioritize to help families be healthy and thriving?
Oh yeah. So I would definitely encourage more sports. I love the sports that we currently do in the park. I would definitely support new ones. I love the events that we do in the park and across from City Hall. I definitely would like to see a lot more of those type of events to bring the community together. And yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tyler. Bink?
One of the things I've noticed in Mammoth is they have a lot of events going on all the time. They have things for kids, smaller kids, older kids. They have concerts. There's always something going on. I would take a page out of their book and find the people that are involved in that and figure out how we can work with them to get those things going on here. I mean, there's numerous things that we could do, but I would start there.
Thank you, Bink. Jose?
Thank you. My priority is to support what we have in place. We have more than 20 different programs for children and families, from 4th of July celebration at the park, our swimming pool, and many, many others, after-school programs, and we support local non-for-profit organizations such as the Student Center in creating and having more programs available for our community, for our children. We at City Council and myself, I wish we have more programs, and I wish we have more capacity for more children in the programs that we have today. But we just don't have all of the staff that takes to run all of these programs, and we don't have the facilities. I wish we had a recreation center at the park, but it will cost millions of dollars that we don't have. So my priority is to support what we have and build on that to create more.
Thank you, Jose. Dennis?
Karen.
Oh, Karen, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I'm bossy enough. I'll stand up and make it. So anyone who knows me knows that the park is kind of my thing. I walk all the time. I have to take my grandson there. And as much as there are people in the park all the time, I really truly believe that it is underutilized. It was shocking to me this year when I took my grandson to swimming lessons to hear how many people said after swimming lessons, we're going to go to Keogh's this afternoon. And I was like, why would you go out to Keogh's when you could stay and come to our pool? So there are some disconnects that are happening that I'm interested in investigating. In fact, I'm meeting with the pool manager tomorrow to talk about that. The other thing is, and I really encourage all of you to participate, we wrote several years ago, prior to me, a city park master plan. And you know how plans are, sometimes they sit on the shelf. Well, this year, we are looking at it and revamping it and seeing if the goals we had those years are the goals we still have. And so we had one very poorly attended strategy meeting to talk about the plan. So if anyone's really interested in parks, that's the place to go. That's the place to get involved. And it shouldn't be that 4 hours after we post gymnastics, it's full. We need to figure out a way to better serve those families that are interested in our programs. Thanks.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, now Dennis.
No, me, yes. The park that we have it's extremely beautiful. The Park and Recs Department, they do a phenomenal job keeping it maintained and useful on a day-to-day basis, 365 days a year. To get more people involved, there has to be some sort of a program, maybe every other Saturday in the summer there's a swim, you can swim for free, or you can go do something at a lower cost. Because, you know, the number that Karen said, the number of homeless children that we have is just phenomenal. And those children, their parents can't afford to be in any sort of group sports, because just to participate in the sports is an exorbitant amount of money, from cleats to gear to travel to everything else that goes involved in it. You know, we do have to figure out how to involve everybody in the use of the park, which will just keep the family vibrant. You know, and there has to be something that we can do to open it up at different times a year for lower cost or no cost.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. All right, so I have to narrow this down to about 2 more questions. One's a really hopefully quick one, and then we'll call it a night. We'll start with the quick one. Tyler, you can go first for this one. Since you have declared your candidacy, how many city council meetings have you attended? And multiple people asked this question.
All right. So I was, for a period of time, attending them a lot. Recently, with the campaigning and everything that goes around, I've been more of a watching them. But I've been definitely keeping in the know with the city council. The approximate number since I've announced my candidacy, I'm not sure. But yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you. Bink.
0. All of them.
All of them.
Over to me, or those are quick. I've been to 3, and the 2 that I've missed, I had doctor's appointments out of town that were already scheduled, so otherwise I would have been to all 5.
All right, and Sterling.
I haven't been to one, but I am a regular watcher of the council meeting and the board of supervisor meetings for decades. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So last question. This one's a doozy, and Bink, you'll get it first. Explain the chain of liability the town carries if they don't enforce code.
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, it said explain the chain of liability the town carries if they don't enforce the code. So city, property owner, insurance. I'm not exactly sure what they are asking here.
I think that, as I understood the question, it's the liability that the city and others would face if we don't enforce the various
Okay,
codes.
so explain the burden of liability that the city would face if they did not enforce city code. Nobody knows. Okay, well that's okay because we do have a couple of other good questions. We'll skip that one.
I could
Okay,
answer.
Karen can answer. Okay.
So I can't tell you nickels and dimes liability, but the reality is that the majority of the codes are state required codes that we enforce. And if things were to take place without permits and not up to code, bad stuff could happen. Things could explode, fires could happen, electricity could go bad, plumbing could go bad, walls could disintegrate from wet water behind. The numbers of things that could happen for things being built not up to code is too many to count.
Okay, would anyone else like?
My answer would be that's why we have a lawyer that works for them.
That's why we have a lawyer. All right, so we will go ahead and ask one last.
Can I add to that?
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Thank you. On top of what Karen said, code is a law, and the city is required by law to enforce the law. Whether it's local, state, or federal law, the city is required to enforce it. So it's not only code for building, but you have for law enforcement code that you cannot believe how many federal requirements are imposed in our small police department. So the liability is huge. If a city, any city, and you get lawsuits against cities everywhere in the country, if a city does not enforce any code and anything happens because of that, who pays the price? The city, because they didn't enforce the code, which is a law.
Thank you, Jose. Would anyone else like to say anything on code? Okay, I want to stop. I want to end on a strong note, so we'll ask one more quick question. Jose, you can take this one first. Inyo County, actually, Bink, you take this one first since, okay. Bink, you'll take this first. Inyo County has asked for a rural exemption to delay composting organic waste. How will you keep food waste out of our Sunland landfill and help with community composting?
I think creating public awareness for people to take a individual responsibility on that. I think at the end of the day, we're all responsible for our actions, and if people really care, they'll figure it out.
Thank you, Bink. Jose?
This is one of the questions where I will encourage everyone, and I mean everyone, to attend city council meetings, or at least listen to them online, because we had a presentation a couple months ago from the master gardeners, local master gardeners here in Bishop, where they have a composting program going on. They take your food waste once or twice a week, Friday and Saturday, I believe, and I don't remember if it's every week or every other week, but we have an opportunity to contribute to that, to prevent all of that composting to get to the landfill and use it here to go grow local food at our community garden. So if you don't want to go and listen to that meeting, go to the back of the park, talk to the master gardeners, ask them when can you bring your food waste and recycle. It's very easy.
Thank you, Jose. Karen?
So I just need to say first, I really understand the county's position about getting a rural exemption. It would be a very expensive program to start in the landfill. I get that. And it's the reason that we were so thrilled when the community gardeners came to see us and told us about the program that they were establishing. So yes, I encourage you to call Carrie Lizito or Bobby Striefler or I can't think of another name, those two off the top of my head, to find out exactly about the composting at the city park. It's in the back area. In fact, when I was there yesterday walking the dogs, there was a guy dropping it off. The other thing that I think is a possibility for people is that you can always do composting in your own backyard. My son lives in Santa Maria. They have a composting pile and they use it in a variety of ways for their garden, for their chickens, for all those sorts of things. And so government doesn't necessarily have to be the solution to all problems, that there are personal solutions if you want to create one for your little neighborhood. There's lots of options out there.
Thank you, Karen. Dennis?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Absolutely. Inyo County has asked for the rural exemption to delay composting organic waste. How will you keep food waste out of the Sunland landfill and support community composting?
Okay. As a grocer that has fresh produce, we have our own kind of recycling program. We give all of our fruit and vegetables to a local farm who feeds their pigs, goats, sheep, and all that. So that's what we do at the store. But from a personal level, I honestly don't know how the city council could roll that out without a large expense. If we're requiring everybody to do it, they have to have a device to do it in. Do they supply that for themselves? Is it supplied for them? Like, it's not that the composting is difficult, it's the collection of and how do you get the whole process in place, the program in place? It would be very expensive to put in place. Like, do you have another truck to come in and just pick up compost? We're not even recycling plastics and paper in Bishop yet, so I don't know how we could jump ahead to doing food.
Thank you, Dennis. Sterling?
I grew up around a compost heap. My grandfather had a nice compost bin and a beautiful garden. My long-term solution to the composting is I think we should create a soil business and start making our own soil. We could call it Eastern Sierra soil. And I think we have the property to do composting. Lord knows we have tons and tons of leaves every fall that people could donate. And we could create a business out of it, which would generate some revenue. And we could donate it to the schools or what have you. So that's my solution to the composting.
Thank you, Sterling. And Tyler?
All right. Yes. So I definitely agree with the county on getting a rural exemption on that. basically because of costs, rolling that out on a city scale, as Dennis said, it would be super costly, and then to force residents to add another expense to their gardening service now, because now you're you need to recycle your food now. So I would definitely support the county's position on getting a rural exemption, because we barely even recycle plastic and cans at our landfill. So how can we now add a food section?
Awesome, thank you so much. And that concludes the 2024 City Council Forum. I'd like to thank again everyone for coming out tonight. As a reminder, there are 3 seats available on the City Council for election this November 5th. Please get out and vote. And thank you and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.